Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be giving you my Capricorn March 2022 horoscope forecast, and yes, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first up is as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Pisces from the 1st until the 20th, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. Now, at this time, there may be a strong focus and attention on spiritual, metaphysical, which includes astrology, could be communications. There might also be a strong focus and attention on sacrificing and showing compassion for siblings, cousins, neighbors at this time. Keep in mind the Sun is connected with the biological father and children if applicable. So these people may be figuring more prominently in your communications, your short journeys at this time. And it could also be a time to, you may be, this could shine the light in some cases. It could be on a deceptive or duplicitous sibling, cousin, or neighbor, someone that may have been prominent in your early education, or somebody that you know well through short journeys. It's a time to where you just have to, when you're talking about this transit. I want to say actually something good with this as well. This could be a lot of drive and motivation in Pisces related communications, whether it could be again something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, or dancing, or photography, or chemistry. At this time, it can be. That is some ways this transit could manifest and pan out. Now the next thing up. Well, as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Aries from the 20th until the 31st, so the fourth house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Capricorn, it might be a time where there can be a strong focus and attention on home-related matters, people that you're close to home with. It could be the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. Can be a time too where there's a lot of, the fact that this is an Aries, there's really a lot of more drive and motivation than the usual transit with the Sun. But this is a time where you can, focus on taking. It could also be taking the initiative in home-related matters, and also where, in some cases, this might shine the light, so to speak, on a rather combative or aggressive or acrimonious home or family member. But it could also be a lot of drive and motivation in Aries related, could be traditions. It could be something with firefighting or welding or carpentry, or it could be being a spectator at a combative sport such as karate, boxing, judo, or wrestling as some examples. And it may also be where it could be shining the light on who you are at the core, especially if Aries falls on your fourth house cusp in your natal chart, and who you are at the core then may be someone that's very aggressive, assertive, courageous, but yet abrupt, impulsive, and impetuous as well. Um, Now, the next thing up. Well, there's going to be a new moon in Pisces on March 2nd, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, this can manifest in a number of ways. It could be the beginning of, it could be a Piscean writing that you might do. It could be something with, again, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, writing about the paranormal, perhaps, or something with poetry, dancing, photography, chemistry. It can also be a time where you may begin. It could be a forgiving, I quote, forgiveness in matters with siblings, cousins, or neighbors, or expressing more altruism or compassion toward these people. Uh, it can also be a time where this could also be the start, I would say, as well as being more, as you could say, Um, maybe, I mean, the third house is short journeys. It could be the start, some cases, of convoluted short journeys, or ones that might maybe somewhat mysterious, or it could also be a time where you're actually trying to be more idealistic in your thinking and maybe seeing the whole picture in someone. If you've been somewhat critical or judgmental of people, this could be a time where you may begin to just say, okay, I'm going to try to look at the whole picture on these people. I'm going to say, I'm going to try not to necessarily overlook transgressions and shortcomings, but it might be where you may, try to just really try to emphasize or accentuate the positive more, and it could even be just in people, in us, with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, people prominent in your early education, trying to see the best in them if possible. Now, the next thing up, there's going to be a full moon in Virgo on March 18th. So at this time, the ninth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, some cases this could be the ending of some Virgo related higher education class. It could be doing something with statistics or analytics, or something with health or nutrition. Um, it might be a time too where you simply are done analyzing maybe what you want to do as far as higher education or publishing or advertising as some examples, and it has reached a completion and maybe a decision is made at this time regarding that. Now, full moons in astrology can also be about when one becomes tired, full, or exasperated at something, when you've had enough of something. And in some cases, this could be a rather critical or judgmental, cynical, even pedantic. It could be an in-law or a grandchild, if applicable. It might be a time too where, I mean, full moons in astrology can also be about revelations and unveilings. So this could also be a time where it could be somebody that ninth house person, whether it's an in-law or grandchild, if applicable, or it could be somebody in a ninth house profession, a publisher, an advertiser, a philosopher, a college teacher. It could be somebody that you're seeing now that may be overly cynical or critical or judgmental, or a person that's overly worrisome, or even germophobic or hypochondriac. And I don't know if those words apply anymore, but you understand what I'm saying. So anyway, as far as germophobic and hypochondriac go, is what I mean. Now, the next thing up. Well, Mercury is going to be in Aquarius as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 10th. So at this time, for Capricorn, the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. It could be a time where you may be communicating about your future, and that could be something that you value at this time, and also talking about goals and aspirations, and trying to formulate it could be a plan for that, and it could play dividends in your self-esteem, your self-worth, and how you feel about yourself. Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, and these people may be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply embody those characteristics of Aquarius. And it could be a time where these people may figure more prominently, getting your self-esteem, your self-worth, how you feel about yourself. Your mind may be dominated toward making money at this time. And it's really a time, and it could be doing something Aquarius related, such as something with computers or astrology or electronics, innovation, or meteorology or aviation as some examples. And you may be also a time too where when you have this transit, it could be, I mean, Mercury is also connected with short journeys, so there may be more short journeys that you take that are tied into money or communications that could be Aquarius related, that are tied into your income and generating money at this time, and it might be something that you're seeing more as some latent talent or ability. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. Well, the next thing up is Mercury will be in Pisces as far as March goes, from the 10th until the 27th, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, this could be a time for you, Capricorn, where there may be a lot of conversations that could be ones that are very cryptic or ambiguous with siblings, with cousins and neighbors. It could be a time where you may be talking about Pisces related things with them. It could be matters with the paranormal, if you believe it, or the metaphysical, which includes astrology, dancing, poetry, photography. But at the same time, a lot of these communications may be somewhat vague, and again, they can be cryptic or ambiguous, but it's also a time that Mercury again is connected, has a connection with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, and these people, maybe Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply embody those traits. They may figure more prominently in your short journeys, in your communications in general. It could be your writings at this time, and it could also be a time too where when you look at this, this transit, it may be a time as well where your thinking may be more idealistic in terms of what you can write at this time in matters again with siblings, with cousins and neighbors. And this is also a time where it's just very, you talk about Mercury, the planet of communication, in the third house, also connected with communications, and it's a time where it can be more emphasized communicating, speaking at this time. But Mercury in Pisces can sometimes indicate chaotic thinking, so it could be affecting the rational mind to some degree. Now, next thing up, Mercury is going to be in Aries as far as March goes, from the 27th until the 31st. So the fourth house will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. You might find yourself speaking, in a more direct and outspoken manner with family members, people you're close to home with. It can be also the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, but your thinking may also be more innovative and pioneering at this time, and it might be expressed with these same fourth house people. But it could also be a time where communications may be acrimonious with them as well, but you may be trying to formulate more of a plan for the latter part of life if you're not currently in it, and you're thinking really might be coming very quick at this time, and it's a lot of the mind may be very impatient regarding these things. And also it's a time to remember, as I stated before, that Mercury again is connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. These may be Aries, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply embody those traits. And they may be factoring more into your matters with safety and security in your home life at this time, and also maybe helping you get in touch with roots and traditions as well at this time. So anyway, well, the next thing up, well, Venus is going to be in Capricorn as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, Capricorn, you may be emphasizing more about more of your appearance at this time, and trying to be more attractive than usual. Capricorn can be photogenic, so it might be a time where you may be appearing more photogenic. At this time could be a good time to have pictures taken, I would say. And it could also be a time where you may be expressing more of an artistic ability very outwardly at this time. It could be in drawings that are could be just very traditional artwork, since we're talking about Capricorn. It could be writing and doing art in a very just conventional, orthodox manner. It could also be a time, if you're unattached Capricorn, you may connect with a Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Capricorn characteristics. It may be somebody that may help you figure prominently in new beginnings at this time, and it can be and also may influence your outlook. Now, it's also a time too where it may be fortuitous for money. Venus is connected, with money, and it may be, doing something connected with a new beginning, something Capricorn related, such as accounting or dentistry or information technology, masonry, general mundane work, business, politics, as some examples. And it's just a general time, I would say, too, where you may be valuing your appearance more so than usual at this time. And appearance for Capricorn tends to be, conservative, I would say. So anyway, well, the next thing up. Well, Venus is going to be in Aquarius as far as March goes, from the 6th to the 31st. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. This could be very auspicious for money, since you're talking about Venus, which is associated with money. The second house corresponds with that as well. It can be making money, doing something Aquarius related, such as astrology or computers, or astronomy, innovation, aviation, meteorology. Could also be a time to where making the money may play an integral role in your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself at this time. And it's also about a time too where, if you're unattached at this time, Capricorn, you may connect with an Aquarius Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or one that embodies those traits. They could figure prominently in your self-worth, your money, your possessions, resources at this time. And it's also really about, this transit, I would say as well, it can really be about valuing, what you have as far as your possessions go at this time. And it's also a time to, this is about, enjoyment, as well. And it could be the enjoyment, of Aquarius related things, such as your friends, goals, aspirations, astrology, computers, the internet, innovation. And these are things that, that you may, again, it's something that can be enjoyment, those things, and things that you value as well. At this time, Venus is about enjoyment. The second house is about what, we can value. So anyway, now the next thing up. Well, Mars will be in Capricorn as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So at this time, the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, Capricorn, at this time, you may come across as more outspoken and direct as usual. It may be a time also to keep in mind that Mars is about is connected, with injuries and even surgery. So there may be, the first house is the physical body, so there may be a greater propensity for some kind of injury, connected with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, or even, surgery like on one of those parts, or even the gallbladder at this time. Because remember, you're going to have Pluto, in Capricorn, emphasizing the first house as well, and that's connected with surgery and trauma. Now, another thing too about this transit, you may also be expending a lot of energy and vitality in Capricorn on new beginnings, which can be connected with the government, politics, accounting, information technology, masonry, general mundane work at this time. And it's just more of a time in general where you'd be more energetic at this time. You likely are going to have a surfeit and abundance of energy, but at the same time there may also be battles, some arguments, disputes. It could be with people that were prominent in your early childhood, or even a grandparent at this time. It could be arguments over, responsibilities, or matters with consistency, or just general coldness that you feel you may be getting from these people. Now, anyway, next thing up. Well, hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, well, next thing up, Mars is going to be in Aquarius as far as March goes from the 6th until the 31st. So the second house is what we emphasized and highlight. Now, at this time, Capricorn might be a time where you may become a little bit more agitated over matters of money and possessions. At this time, somebody takes something. At this time, even a close friend, and they don't say anything. And there might be a time where you might be a little bit more irritated and exasperated at these things. Mars in Aquarius by itself could really could indicate sporadic and erratic energy, and also unpredictable outbursts of anger. So this anger might come out in a very unpredictable fashion, but it could also be where there's a lot of again, a lot of erratic and sporadic energy connected with making money or trying to accumulate possessions at this time. But it could also be a time too where taking action in matters with your future, with your goals, your aspirations may be very well tied into your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. And there might also be a lot of energy and vitality expended in Aquarius money-making endeavors. You could be doing something with computers or astrology or meteorology, aviation, or innovation, as some examples. And anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, Jupiter is going to be in Pisces still, and will be in Pisces for the entirety of March 2022. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, this could be very fortuitous. This time for communications and writings, it may be Pisces related, or something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or dancing or poetry or photography, chemistry, the paranormal, if you believe in that. It could, or spirituality. But remember too that this can also mean, as I've spoken about in previous videos, Jupiter can be very paradoxical, could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but also have a tendency to enlarge and expand, and it could enlarge deception and duplicity in communications, not necessarily by you, but to you from other people, or even with siblings or cousins and neighbors at this time. It might also, at this time as well, it can be very prosperous for writings. Something could be something Pisces related, and it may also be a time too where you might, this could be about a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm in Piscean communications and Piscean writings, and also even sacrificing for neighbors, for cousins, for siblings, for people that were prominent in your in your early in your early education as well. It can be a time too where, Jupiter, this is Jupiter is about publishing. Again, the third house is connected with communication, so it can be an auspicious time for publishing as well, and it can be a time too as well. Jupiter is again, it's very expansive and optimistic and enthusiastic, so you could expect your thinking to be more so at this time, but make sure it's not overly unrealistic because we are talking about Pisces energy. Now, the next thing up. Well, Saturn is still going to be in Aquarius, and it will be for the entire month of March 2022. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Capricorn, you may be experiencing some limitations or restrictions in monetary matters. And as far as how this transit is affecting people collectively, I think there's a lot of these inhibitions and fear in society at this time, because you have the COVID, the variant is still at least somewhat prevalent at this time, And for Capricorn, it might be affecting matters with money at this time and accumulating possessions at this time as well. It can be a time too where when you have this transit as well, it can also be about more responsibility. It can be in a Aquarius money making endeavor, whether it's something astrology or computers or astronomy or innovation, aviation, meteorology. And maybe a time too where at this time working hard, working laboriously might be tied in with your self-worth at this time. It can be a time too where you might feel there may be some limitations or restrictions in your self-worth as well at this point in time. So it's also about working hard or working laboriously to actually generate income as well. There's another way that this could manifest. But anyway, well, the next thing up. Well, Uranus is going to be in Taurus still. So at this time for Capricorn, the fifth house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, this could be a time for you where you may be involved in some, could be, Uranus, investing. You may be more involved in cryptocurrency. Uranus is connected, with electronics, internet, computers. Taurus is about money, and of course, the fifth house is associated with investments. It could also be a time where you might be experiencing a lot of fluctuation, with the stock that you might have, or it can also be a time where children and lovers may be more erratic and unpredictable. You might find yourself more interested in Uranus-related hobbies or games, or it can be something with astrology or computers or astronomy, tech labs as some examples. And you might be also at this time where this transit can also manifest in doing something. It might just be, given that Uranus, is about innovation, that could be something that you may enjoy at this time, more so than usual. But it could also be a time when you're dealing, with could be rebellious children, or could be dealing, or ones that are non-conforming. This is anyway. Well, next thing up. Well, Neptune's going to be in Pisces still, and will be for the entire month of March 2022. So the third house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Capricorn, it might be a time where you may need to be more careful and prudent, regarding any kind of signings at this time or anything written, because Neptune and Pisces energy can have a tendency to gloss over the details of things. It could also indicate that, at this time as well, you may be dealing, with more convoluted short journeys. Maybe siblings, cousins, and neighbors may be more nebulous or unclear at this time. Now, in some cases, this could indicate the dissolving of the rational mind and thinking at this time, or just the thinking and memory in general, especially, I would say, if you're an older person and you are experiencing this transit. And the thing about it is, it's important just not to let, you're thinking, Neptune is Pisces, very chaotic. So it's important to not to allow this to become, allow your thinking to become too chaotic at this point in time, and just try to make sure you're focusing, on one thing and then another. And it can also be time too during this transit that can be that siblings, cousins, and neighbors, they may be more deceptive and duplicitous than usual at this time. You may be interested in Neptune related writings, which can be connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or spirituality, poetry, dancing, photography, chemistry, the paranormal, if you believe in that, as some examples. Now, anyway, hold on again. Now, last but not least, Pluto is going to be in Capricorn still, so the first house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, well, this could manifest in a number of ways. As I was speaking about before, is that it can, in some cases, indicate surgery, or some kind of trauma. It could be Capricorn related, such as something with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, the gallbladder. You may have some kind of reconstructive surgery at this time. It could also be a time too where you may come across a little bit more imposing on a first impression, but it's also a time you have to guard against being overly, obsessive or fixated as well at this time. And it might also be a time too where it could also indicate Plutonian new beginnings, whether it could be something with the occult, which includes astrology, or forensics, investigation, recycling, insurance, taxes, anything that is associated with Pluto. And it's also time too where you might be more apt to transform the physical body at this time, whether it could be working out vigorously or what have you. And it's a time too where during this transit as well, where you may just it could be where you have, the first house is connected with people prominent in your early childhood, and also a grandparent, be a grandparent as well. So there may be power struggles with these people this time, where you may experience a death with one of these people as well. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.